Could Last Rites actually be the scariest film in the Conjuring universe? As a huge fan of the franchise, I'll take any excuse to talk about the film, so let's unpack the scares in the most recent release. There is apparently never a dull moment for the Warrens because even when they're trying to just meet up for dinner, we have visions coming in. This specific scene unfortunately got spoiled in the trailer, and I would have probably ranked it higher had it not, but Judy trying to ward off this vision with that Lucy Lockett nursery rhyme, and Lorraine is trying to figure out what's going on, while Ed is just in his own universe over on the side trying to order his dinner. And we get these really close-up shots of Judy and Lorraine, and it's this really intense moment because you can hear Judy whispering and it all stops, and then all of a sudden you see those hands come up over Judy's shoulder. But I think it's a really cool, like, tension building moment. Another one of the early scares is when Janet Smurl is in the basement doing laundry, and we can kind of feel that there's something there, and you see a figure in the background. She feels it and she goes over to flip the light on. Once she does, it disappears, and all we can see is what I think is supposed to be a painting of John Wayne. It reminded me a lot of the nun painting scene in The Conjuring 2. I think that was like a nice little mini callback of sorts, but I wish there would have been a little more in that scene, so that's the only reason I ranked it so low. Another lurking moment comes courtesy of Annabelle when Judy takes Tony to her parents' house for Ed's birthday, and she kind of goes off by herself into her room, and she's going through these pictures, which I feel like was a good distraction because I kept expecting something to pop up in those photos as she was like holding them up to the light, which could have been cool. But what we did get was Annabelle coming through in a vision to her in the rocking chair in the corner, and the way they set up the camera was like Annabelle would swing back and forth in and out of the shadow, and I thought that was a really cool way to build this tension. Unfortunately, nothing really came from it other than like a little jump scare when Tony knocks on the door, but I thought it was really cool cinematography wise, like how they use the shadow to kind of add this sense of dread to it. Further into the film, the Smurl family is sufficiently haunted at this point. Dawn is begging her father to do something to help them, and she says something like, "You don't get it because it hasn't happened to you." And then that almost immediately changes because he's trying to go to bed and he hears a creak in the hallway, or there's like a shadow or something, so your attention's kind of driven that way. So then when he moves and we can see the foot of the bed, there's a jump of, I think it was Nellie. Then she forces him up in the air, he's levitating, and she's crawling across him, and like all of these things are just like chaotically happening at once, and it's just like really creepy, honestly. And I thought it was done really well, especially with like the diversion in the hallway at first. While Jack is dealing with that whole levitating thing upstairs, Heather's downstairs going through her communion video, trying to figure out what caused the candle to go out, and we see her reflection on the screen while she's going back and forth in this video, trying to pause it on this exact moment where she thinks she sees something. I think it's really well done because you don't know where the scare is going to come from, whether it's going to be in the video or in real life behind her. You know, there's that what if moment, and then we see the lights kind of fill the room from this garbage truck or whatever it is going by outside, and then all of a sudden there's an axe and Abner's there and he's ready to use it. I think any scene with him in it is really effective, but this one specifically did really good with building the tension to that point. So we find out Grandma and Grandpa Smurl are totally to blame for all of this because they're the ones that bring the mirror into the home as a gift for Heather's communion, and Heather immediately is weirded out by it, which leads to her and Dawn tossing it on trash night. It is Dawn's idea, so when the mirror gets crushed the next morning, she pays for it because she starts vomiting up blood and eventually glass, which is a really, really unsettling moment, and I would say it's one of the more inventive scares that the Conjuring universe has. It's a lot. If you don't like body horror, it's a lot. Janet's phone call scene is one of my favorites in the whole movie, even if it's not the scariest of all of them. This one gets set up really well early on because the youngest Smurls, Shannon and Karen, are kind of running around the house, messing around, playing together, and they start pranking their mom by yanking on the phone cord. And then later on, she's on the phone again while the girls are again running around the house. So when the cord gets yanked, she just assumes it's her daughter's. The cord gets pulled so hard that it yanks it out of her hand, and it's kind of just like laying on the ground. And then while that's happening, the two girls run in the background, so she's clearly knows it's not her daughter's in there, and she flips the light on and there's nothing there. But I just love the tension. Like, I just love how scary it is even without showing anything, especially when you realize that the girls are not in the pantry. Judy getting possessed definitely was not what I was expecting from this, but it definitely worked given the family dynamic. It's heartbreaking and devastating, and Mia Tomlinson did amazing, especially when she was playing that possessed version. When Lorraine first discovers that Judy has been possessed and she's sitting in the corner with her hair over her face, staircase. That itself was terrifying, and so was her lunging and crawling across the floor. But the moment in particular that I think she did so well was mimicking that Susie doll when she says mommy and she's like trying to taunt Lorraine kind of. I thought that was so well done. Lorraine's visions or collection of visions are very unsettling, especially in the Smurl home towards the end. So we see her in the Smurl bedroom and she's looking under the bed and the mattress kind of sinks because there's something sitting on it, and that itself was very creepy. But then add in the fact that when she pops back up, you see the hands disappear up under the covers. Like, that was so unsettling. But then it gets even worse because she then finds herself in the basement and Abner is approaching and you're expecting him to kind of pop up and scare the shit out of her. But when she goes to turn away from the direction he's coming, all of a sudden we see Nellie and she does that really creepy like shh, and then the axe swings into the frame and it's creepy, and it was an excellent misdirect. Judy's dress fitting is one of the best scares in the whole franchise, and especially in this movie, at least in my opinion. I love how much tension it builds and you keep thinking it's over and it's not. It just keeps going and pushing that envelope. There's 3 scares in this specifically that kind of culminate into that final one. So we first see Judy talking to Brenda, getting her dress fitted. Brenda has to leave to go answer the phone, and the first one is Judy's reflection being out of order. So like she's bent down and it's still standing up, and that is really creepy. It adds to it when we think Brenda comes back into the room and she's up under the dress pinning her again, but it's not Brenda because obviously this is a Conjuring movie and it's not going to be that easy. So she's up under the dress and all of a sudden it's the old lady and it's like a quick flash jump. And again, you think it's done and we're moving on, but then we hear like the knocking on the mirror and she turns around and it's her reflection again, not her reflection, it's the entity terrorizing her, and it like lunges out of the mirror. I just think altogether it was a really good combination of things. What did you think was the scariest moment in The Conjuring Last Rites? Let me know in the comments.